Hey guys, tonight we're trying something a little different and a lot more personal. We're not just talking about Marcus Aurelius, we're inviting him here into your headphones, into the quiet corners of your sleepless mind. Imagine the philosopher king of Rome leaning closer, whispering gentle truths just for you, as if he'd swapped his dusty scrolls for a podcast mic. Forget marble statues and Hollywood epics. Tonight, Marcus wants to help you drift off, one timeless thought at a time. So, before you settle in, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy these philosophical journeys for restless nights. And tell me in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. I love picturing all these wakeful minds connected beneath the same stars. Now, dim the lights, let the soft hum of rain or wind wrap around you, and let's slip into tonight's journey together. Close your eyes and listen, because Marcus Aurelius has a letter just for you. And tonight, he's speaking softly right into your insomnia.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Lying there with your eyes wide open, staring at your ceiling like it might suddenly reveal the secrets of the universe. What time is it right now? 2:47 a.m., or maybe 3:13. Let's be honest. After midnight, time stops being a real thing. There's just one giant hour called way too late to still be awake. Let me tell you something straight away. You're not alone. I'm Marcus Aurelius. Yes, that Marcus Aurelius. Emperor of Rome, part-time philosopher, and, apparently, your new late-night buddy. And guess what? I've had my share of sleepless nights, too. You think insomnia is some modern invention, born from blue light and the existential terror of unread emails? Let me laugh softly. It's nighttime after all. Nope, not at all. Try ruling an empire and then tell me how well you sleep. Everyone thinks being an emperor is all silk togas, grapes, and marble statues. Let me tell you, it's mostly paperwork, public speeches, and people smiling in your face while secretly planning to stab you in the back. Literally. You talk about office politics. My office was the Senate. And believe me, there was more backstabbing there than in any modern open-plan office at lunchtime. And then there's the insomnia. Because when you're emperor, every tiny problem becomes your problem. You've got your upstairs neighbor vacuuming at 2 a.m. I had legionaries practicing sword drills right outside my window. Swords clanging, shields smashing, men yelling like the barbarians were invading. Super relaxing, right? Definitely not on the Calm Sleep Sounds playlist. Don't even get me started on the walls. You think your apartment walls are thin? My palace walls were marble. And marble, guess what? It echoes. You haven't truly known insomnia until you've heard 2 centurions arguing over whose turn it is to clean the latrines, echoing like a concert hall. Ah, and my bed. Let's talk about that for a second. You might be lying there right now on your fancy memory foam mattress with your hypoallergenic duvet and your ergonomic pillow. Lucky you. My mattress, stuffed with straw, good old Roman straw, scratchy, pokey, and scented somewhere between donkey sweat and damp hay. I swear, if I rolled over too fast, I'd get stabbed by a pointy straw shard sharper than a dagger. And the fleas. Oh, the fleas. You're worried about mosquitoes. Roman fleas were practically organized enough to start a political party. I once woke up with more bites than there were senators in the entire Senate. So, yeah. Welcome to my world. And let's talk about what's going on in your head right now. Because I know you. You probably think you're weird because you can't sleep. Like you're the only person lying awake, replaying your entire life like some dramatic highlight reel. Let me set you straight. Welcome to the club, my friend. You think just because I was emperor, I was immune to this stuff? Ha, not even close. I spent countless nights tossing and turning on that prickly straw bed, reliving conversations I wish I'd handled differently, wondering if I'd delivered the right speech, obsessing over whether that senator gave me a funny look, or if he just had something in his eye. You ever lie there, agonizing over whether your coworker gave you a weird look at the coffee machine? Same here. I've lost entire nights of sleep wondering if a senator was plotting my downfall, or simply dealing with an eyelash stuck under his eyelid. Spoiler, I never found out. But it still cost me 3 sleepless nights. You know those random memories that pop into your brain at 3 a.m., like the time you accidentally called your teacher mom, or when you sent a text to the wrong person? I've been there too, except in my case, my wrong person was sometimes an entire province. That's a bit more awkward. And let's talk smell, shall we? You complain about your roommate's trash stinking up the hallway? Rome smelled like a giant stew of sweat, fermented fish sauce, cheap wine, and burning torches. Try falling asleep while the city's heat turns every gutter into a bubbling cauldron of eau de fish market. Your pile of dirty laundry smells like a luxury spa in comparison. And then there's the noise. Oh, the noise. You think your fridge makes weird spaceship sounds at night? I had wild cats howling on the palace roof like they were casting demonic spells. And don't even get me started on the priests who'd start chanting hymns at sunrise, because apparently the Roman gods had zero respect for my sleep schedule. And those messengers. Have you ever had a colleague call you at 2 a.m. for something completely non-urgent? I had messengers barging into my bedroom, torch in hand, sweat pouring off their faces, yelling, "Sire, emergency at the frontier." And I'd be lying there, half naked under my scratchy blanket, thinking, this empire better actually be on fire if you woke me up for this. Spoiler. It was usually just legionaries arguing about who was on toilet cleaning duty. See what I'm saying? You're not alone in your insomnia. You're not weird. Even as emperor, I spent night after night staring at the ceiling, mentally rewriting speeches I should have given, wondering whether my sandals made squeaking noises when I walked. Because, yeah, have you ever heard an emperor walking down a marble corridor? It goes squeak, squeak, squeak. Not very imperial, let me tell you. So, next time your brain starts its private screening of all your most awkward life moments at 3:12 a.m., remember this. Everything passes. Even this night. The sun always rises. Senators eventually die off or fade into obscurity. The legionaries finally stop clanging their swords, and even the worst thoughts eventually float away. So, take a breath. In and out. Slower. Softer. Let your shoulders drop. Sink your head into your pillow, even if your pillow is flatter than a poorly baked focaccia. Focus on my voice. Because guess what? We're getting through this night together. And let's talk about your bed. Because, come on, we have to talk about it. Right now, you're probably shifting around, trying to find the cold side of your pillow. You're flipping it over like you're auditioning for the Roman Olympic pillow flipping team. You keep giving your blanket these little karate chops, hoping it'll magically feel right. I see you. I know you. Been there. Except in my case, turning over meant getting a sharp piece of straw stabbing me right between the ribs. You think a lumpy mattress is bad. Try sleeping on a haystack that smells like a donkey's workout towel. And let's talk blankets. You might have your fancy modern duvet made of breathable microfibers with perfect temperature regulation and some Swedish name like Snorgul. Mine? A wool blanket so rough it could have doubled as a scouring pad. It weighed as much as a baby ox and hadn't been washed since last winter. You know what an unwashed wool blanket smells like after a Roman summer? Sweat, dust, and a subtle hint of goat. Very chic. And I hear you thinking, well, Marcus, at least I've got technology. Podcasts, ASMR videos, meditation apps. Ha! If I'd had an app to help me sleep, I'd have sold half the empire for it. Instead, I had scribes who'd stand by my bed reading me the complete list of olive oil taxes from North Africa. Trust me, that'll either put you to sleep or make you want to run away to Gaul. And let's not even talk about the questions that pop up at night. You ever notice how it's always at 3 a.m. that your brain decides to ask the big stuff? Do fish sleep? Did I answer that message correctly last week? Does my boss hate me because I said, have a good day, instead of have a great rest of your day? Me too, my friend. Me too. I'd lie there wondering things like, is Jupiter judging me right now? Or, is the Senate plotting to replace me with a horse? And you know what? Replacing me with a horse might have actually been an improvement some days. Horses are at least honest. They either trample you or they don't. But they're not pretending to be your friend only to stab you politically in public. And let's talk about weird night noises. You've got your fridge making some creepy humming sound, or your phone vibrating out of nowhere at 2:48 a.m. Me? I had priests starting sunrise hymns at 5 a.m. sharp, because apparently the Roman gods believed in aggressive wake-up calls. Seriously, Jupiter, let a man sleep. And don't even get me started on cats. The cats. Roman cats on the rooftops were like tiny demons crossed with opera divas. They'd howl at the moon like they were trying out for a starring role in some tragic Greek play. Try meditating through that. Even Seneca couldn't write a calming quote for that nonsense. So listen, my wide-awake friend. Here's the truth. You're not broken. You're not weird. Even an emperor found himself counting ceiling tiles, replaying conversations he should have handled better, and wondering whether his sandals squeaked too loudly on marble floors. Because, yeah, have you ever heard an emperor walking through a marble hallway? It goes squeak, squeak, squeak. Not exactly the sound of imperial power. Trust me. So next time your mind goes on an endless loop at 3:12 a.m., remember, everything passes. Even this night. The sun comes up eventually. The Senate plots fade into oblivion. Legionaries eventually stop making noise. Well, sometimes. And even the worst thoughts drift away like smoke in the Roman breeze. So, take a breath with me. In and out. Slower. Let your body sink into your sheets. Forget the legionaries, the neighbor's bowling league, your boss's weird email, or the cats screaming on the rooftops. Remember, I'm here, the night shift emperor, and I'm not leaving until you finally fall asleep. Everything passes, even this night. Still here, huh? Of course you are. Because guess what? The night is the perfect time for your brain to become a psychic, predicting every possible disaster that might happen tomorrow. Lucky us. You're lying there thinking about tomorrow's meeting, or that email you forgot to send, or whether you sounded weird saying, "Thanks, you too," to the barista who told you to enjoy your coffee. Trust me, I get it. I, Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, have been there. People assume emperors have no worries about the future, that we just glide through life in golden chariots, waving majestically at crowds while the sun sets behind us in perfect cinematic lighting. Spoiler alert, total myth. You're stressed about tomorrow's work presentation. I used to wake up sweating, wondering if half the empire was about to revolt. You've got Slack notifications? I had messengers bursting into my chambers at dawn yelling, "Sire, Gaul is on fire." And I'd be there, half asleep, wrapped in my stinky blanket, thinking, can it wait until I've had my honeyed wine? You're worried your boss is mad at you because they put a period instead of an exclamation mark in their email. Same energy. I'd overthink a senator's face twitch for 3 days straight. Was he plotting to assassinate me, or did he just have something in his eye? Honestly, could go either way. And don't get me started on the little worries. You know, the ones that pile up like dirty laundry. Did you remember to pay that bill? Is your phone charger a fire hazard? Are your socks matching tomorrow? Or bigger stuff. What if you lose your job, your apartment, your entire sense of purpose? Welcome to the club, my friend. I, too, used to lie awake thinking the whole empire might collapse because I forgot someone's birthday, or because the economy was tanking, or because the Senate was bickering again over the price of grain. But listen closely. The future is a sneaky little liar. It whispers to you in the dark, spinning horror stories about everything that might go wrong. And 99% of it never happens. I mean, think about it. You've already survived all your worst days so far. You've made it through heartbreak, awkward moments, job interviews, breakups, and that 1 year in school where you wore your hair in a truly questionable way. And here you are, still breathing, still standing. And me? I survived the Antonine Plague, political conspiracies, and countless Senate debates that made me want to fall asleep face first into my scrolls. Yet most of the stuff I worried about never even happened. Here's the thing about tomorrow. It's like the Senate. It's going to do whatever it wants, whether you worry about it or not. So why waste your precious night sacrificing your sleep to an imaginary future? Now, I'm not saying ignore your responsibilities. Believe me, I'm big on duty. I wrote half a book about it, but worrying all night won't solve anything. It just steals your peace and leaves you exhausted for the very thing you're worrying about. Take a deep breath with me. In and out. Slower. Feel your chest rise. Notice the cool air against your face, because right now there's no Senate to fight, no gall burning, no boss glaring at you through a screen. Just you, me, and the quiet darkness. And let's be real for a second. One of the worst things about lying awake at night worrying about tomorrow is how everything feels 10 times scarier in the dark. That tiny issue from earlier. At 3 p.m., it's nothing. At 3 a.m., it's the end of civilization as we know it. You forgot to reply to a text from your friend. During the day, you'd just shrug and answer later. At night, your brain's like, "Congratulations, you've destroyed the friendship forever. Well done." You made a tiny mistake in a meeting. Daylight Marcus would say, "Ah, well, nobody's perfect." Nighttime Marcus, you've single-handedly ruined the empire and everyone hates you now. And the brain loves to play the worst-case scenario game. Like, tell me if this sounds familiar. What if I mess up that presentation tomorrow? What if my boss hates me? What if I lose my job, can't pay rent, get evicted, and end up living in a cardboard box with nothing but my cat, who probably also resents me by now? I get it. Truly. You're talking to the guy who used to wonder if one awkward Senate speech would lead to civil war. I'd lie there sweating, thinking, is that senator looking at me funny because he's plotting my assassination, or because he ate bad oysters? And sometimes the worries are absurd. Like, I once lay awake half the night convinced my sandals squeaked too loudly, and that it was damaging my imperial image. Picture me, the Emperor of Rome, walking down marble hallways while my sandals go squeak, squeak, squeak. Here's the thing, though. None of it was real. Sure, sometimes bad things happen. Empires crumble. People betray you. Cats scream on the rooftops for no reason whatsoever. Life's chaotic. But worrying all night doesn't change the future. It only steals your sleep. Today has enough trouble of its own. Don't borrow tomorrow's. I mean, that's not my quote, but it's true. Think of it like this. Your mind at night is like the Roman Forum, a noisy public square where people yell all kinds of nonsense. Some of it matters, most of it doesn't, and half the people there are probably just trying to sell you questionable fish sauce anyway. So when your mind spins horror stories at 3:26 a.m., try this. Imagine you're the emperor of your own mental empire. Look around the forum of your thoughts and say, "Silence, citizens. Go home. Court is adjourned." Or, if you prefer something modern, imagine slamming the laptop shut on all your tabs. Goodbye, chaos. Here's a trick I used to survive the Senate and my own brain at night. Visualize the absolute worst that could happen. Sounds crazy, right? But hear me out. I'd lie there and ask, what's the worst-case scenario? Would I survive it? Could I handle it if it came true? And you know what? Almost always the answer was, yes, I'd survive. You might lose your job. That'd suck, sure, but you'd figure it out. You might embarrass yourself in that meeting. Painful, but the world won't end. You might have to explain to your cat why you bought the cheap litter again. Slightly tragic, but manageable. So tonight, let's do this together. Think of that thing you're terrified of. Now imagine it happening. Feel the discomfort. Sit with it for a second. And now tell yourself, even if this happens, I'll handle it. I'm still here. Because guess what? You're stronger than you think. And the future, as terrifying as it seems at 3 a.m., rarely turns out as bad as our midnight minds predict. And let's talk about something else nobody likes to admit. Sometimes we're addicted to worrying. I know, it sounds weird. But listen, worrying gives your brain something to do. It's like your mind believes it's solving problems just by running in circles. But in reality, it's like trying to put out a fire by yelling at the flames. I'd do it too. I'd lie there thinking, if I just keep turning this problem over in my head, I'll find the perfect solution. Spoiler, I never did. All I got was eye bags big enough to store extra scrolls in. So, here's my challenge for you tonight. Give yourself permission to pause the mental chaos. Say it out loud if you have to. Not tonight, brain. You'll have plenty of time to freak out tomorrow. Because the truth is, the world doesn't fall apart because you decided to get some sleep. Rome didn't collapse overnight. Well, okay, eventually it did, but it took a while. Your problems can wait a few hours. Another trick? Talk to your worries like they're annoying neighbors. Imagine one of them knocking at your mental door at 3 a.m., going, "Hey, just checking in to see if you've panicked yet about that meeting tomorrow." And you respond, "Thanks, Todd. Not tonight. Come back at office hours." Because that's all worries are. Mental visitors. They show up uninvited. You don't have to let them move in and redecorate your entire mental living room. Let's talk about perspective for a second. Think back 5 years. Remember something you were sure was going to destroy your life? The thing that kept you awake for weeks? Where is it now? Probably forgotten, or at least not as big as it felt then. Me? I once spent weeks convinced that a certain senator was plotting to poison me with a bad batch of garum. Turns out, he just had digestive issues and looked grumpy all the time. We ended up laughing about it. Well, I laughed. He didn't. That's the problem with anxiety. It lies. It magnifies small things until they look monstrous. It whispers that you can't handle the future. But let me tell you something as a guy who ran an empire. You can handle more than you think, because you've already survived your worst days. Heartbreaks, cringy moments, times you were broke, times you felt utterly lost. And yet, look at you, still here, still breathing, still fighting. Here's another exercise. Right now, take a slow breath. Let it out even slower. Good. Now repeat after me. Tonight, I'm safe. The only thing I have to do is rest. Because truly, my friend, there's nothing you can fix at 3:43 a.m. except your pillow's position. Everything else can wait until dawn. And here's something I always tried to remind myself when I was lying awake in the dark. The obstacle is the way. Okay, yeah, I stole that from myself. But it's true. Sometimes the thing you fear most is exactly where your strength grows. Your nervousness about tomorrow's meeting. Maybe it means you care. Maybe it pushes you to prepare better. Your fear of failing. It's proof you're aiming for something meaningful. Fear doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're alive. And it's okay to be alive. Even at 3:50 a.m., when the rest of the world is silent. So, tonight, I'm here to tell you this. The future can wait. You don't have to figure it all out right now. Let go. Sink into your bed. And remember, everything passes. Even this night. Even these worries. Even the fear that tomorrow will be the end of everything. Because tomorrow will come. The sun will rise. And you, yes, you, will handle it. And if things really go sideways, well, you'll just have another story to tell me during the next insomnia session. Everything passes, even this night. Hey, you're still here. Figures. Because even when we're wiped out, our brains throw an after-party nobody asked for. Let's talk about that noise inside your head. Not the neighbor's dog. Not the guy revving his motorcycle at midnight. I mean the crowd of thoughts stomping around inside your skull, yelling over each other like merchants in the Roman Forum, trying to sell questionable olives. What if you messed up today? Did you embarrass yourself in that conversation? Why did you say, "you too," when the waiter said, "enjoy your meal"? Remember that thing you did in 2009? Let's relive it in vivid HD. Sound familiar? Of course it does. You're not weird. You're not broken. You're just human. Even emperors get trapped in mental noise. You think my mind was always calm because I was emperor? Ha, nope. Sometimes I'd lie there, eyes wide open, listening to the roar of my own thoughts. Did I handle that Senate debate right? Was that general secretly mocking me with that eyebrow twitch? Is the empire going to collapse because I tripped over my toga in public again? And let's talk about reruns. Oh, the reruns. Why does your brain insist on replaying your most embarrassing moments on loop? Like it's your personal greatest hits album of social disasters. You've got your top 10 awkward moments. I had mine too. That speech where my voice cracked like a teenage boy. The time I accidentally called a senator's wife by the wrong name. The sandals squeaking in the marble hallways. Squeak, 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 while I'm trying to look majestic. Trust me, friend, your brain's not trying to torture you. It's trying to protect you. It thinks, if we analyze this 72 times, we'll figure out how to never feel awkward again. Except, that's not how it works. Thinking about it over and over doesn't erase the embarrassment. It just magnifies it. Here's the truth I learned lying awake night after night. Your thoughts are not facts. They're just passing clouds in your mental sky. Some are light and fluffy, others are stormy and dark, but none of them are the whole truth about you. Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of the Roman Forum. There's a crowd shouting all kinds of nonsense. Some are yelling about grain prices. Some are arguing over who owes whom 5 denarii. One guy's ranting about how the aqueducts are making everyone's hair fall out. Your mind is the same. A giant public square of random voices. And guess what? You don't have to listen to all of them. Sometimes I'd catch myself getting sucked into one loud thought, and I'd remind myself, this is just a thought. It's not the emperor of me. Because here's the thing. You're the emperor of your own mind. You decide who gets an audience. You decide which thoughts get to stay. The rest? Show them the door. Politely, if you want. Or with a royal decree. So, when your brain is blaring like a Roman parade at 3:23 a.m., try this. Notice the thought. Label it. Oh, hey, it's anxiety again. Or, nice to see you, overthinking. Let it drift past like a toga in the breeze. You don't have to wrestle your thoughts to the ground. You just have to stop giving them your throne. everything passes, even this noise, even this night. And let's talk about the random nonsense your brain decides is urgent at 3 a.m. You'd think your mind would want to help you sleep. Oh no, that would be too easy. Instead, it's like, quick, let's remember that awkward moment from 7 years ago. Let's plan how you'll respond to that imaginary argument you might have next week. Hey, do you think aliens are real? Let's analyze that for an hour. Trust me, I've been there. I remember one night, lying awake in the dark, my brain decided it was the perfect time to wonder if the senators liked me or were plotting my assassination. Not based on evidence, just because one of them gave me a weird half-smile during dinner. Spoiler, he was probably just constipated. But my brain didn't care about facts. It cared about doom spirals. You know that feeling? One tiny thought snowballs into a full-blown crisis, like, I forgot to reply to that email. My boss probably hates me. They're going to fire me. I'll never find another job. I'll end up homeless, living under a bridge with only my pet goldfish for company. All because you forgot to write thanks at the end of an email. My personal imperial doom spiral was, that senator looked suspicious. He's going to start a rebellion. The entire empire will fall. It'll be all my fault. History books will call me Marcus the totally clueless. It's exhausting. And meanwhile, the physical symptoms show up. Racing heart, tight chest, weird feeling in your stomach. You start thinking, oh great, now I'm dying. No, friend, you're not dying. You're just anxious at 3 a.m. Here's the thing no one tells you. The thoughts themselves aren't the problem. It's the fact we believe every single one of them. Thought pops up, we accept it as gospel, cue panic, but remember this. Your brain throws out thoughts like spaghetti at a wall. Some stick, some slide off. Most of them are just random mental noise. One of the best tricks I learned? Treat your thoughts like spam mail. Imagine every anxious thought showing up in your mental inbox with a subject line like, urgent. Your entire life is falling apart. That stupid thing you said in 2012. Final notice. The universe is disappointed in you. Would you click on those emails? Of course not. You'd delete them, or send them straight to spam. So why open them in your mind? Instead, try this. Notice the thought. Say, thanks, brain, and move on. Because the truth is, you can't control which thoughts pop up. You can only control how much power you give them. And sometimes, the noise is about things that actually matter. Your job, your relationships, your future. It's not nonsense. It's real. But even real problems don't need to be solved at 3:42 a.m. Trust me, the Senate didn't hold emergency meetings in the middle of the night for good reason. Because nothing good happens when people are tired, cranky, and half asleep. So, my friend, if your brain is currently screaming about tomorrow, what if you mess up? What if they judge you? What if you fail? Here's my emperor-level advice. Let's talk about it in the morning. Everything passes, even this noise, even this night. And let's be honest, sometimes the noise in your head sounds pretty convincing. Your brain puts on this serious voice and says things like, I'm just trying to help you prepare. I'm keeping you safe. If we think about this enough, we'll find the perfect solution. But let me tell you something, friend. Overthinking is not preparation. It's like sitting in a rocking chair all night. Lots of movement, but you're not getting anywhere. Except maybe a sore back and the urge to throw your pillow across the room. I used to fall into this trap constantly. I'd lie there thinking, if I just keep analyzing every word that senator said, maybe I'll figure out if he's loyal or plotting a coup. Spoiler, I never figured it out. The guy probably didn't even know himself. People are complicated. And you know what else fuels the noise? Perfectionism, the voice that says, everything you do must be flawless. If you make one mistake, everyone will hate you forever. You can't rest until everything is under control. Let me break it to you gently. Nothing is ever fully under control. Not in Rome, not in your office, not in your brain. I tried controlling everything, the Senate, the army, the economy, my own thoughts. Guess what? The Senate still argued. The army still got rowdy. The economy still dipped. My brain still woke me up at 2:57 a.m. to remind me of that one time I spilled wine on my toga during a state dinner. So tonight, instead of trying to wrestle your thoughts into silence, try this. Just notice them. Imagine your thoughts as passers-by in the Roman streets. Some are loud, some are shady. Some smell suspiciously like cheap fish sauce. Let them walk by. You don't have to invite every single one into your villa for dinner. And here's a little mantra I used to tell myself when my brain got too noisy. I am not my thoughts. I am the observer of my thoughts. Sounds fancy, right? But it works. Let's practice right now. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Listen to the noise in your head. Label it. Ah, there's worry. Or, oh, look, it's overthinking again. And then, let it go. Imagine it floating away like a tiny paper boat down the Tiber River. Because that's the thing. Thoughts only have power if you keep grabbing onto them. Otherwise, they pass. Like every crowd that gathers in the forum eventually goes home. Like every senator eventually stops talking. Well, mostly. And speaking of senators, you think your co-workers talk too much in meetings. The Senate once argued for 3 days straight over the color of official togas. 3 days. So the next time your mind won't shut up, remember, humans have always been noisy, inside and out. Here's the final truth, my friend. You don't have to silence your thoughts to sleep. You just have to stop believing everything they say. So tonight, if your brain tries to drag you into a mental courtroom at 3:51 a.m. for crimes like saying something awkward or not replying to an email, politely excuse yourself from the trial. Say, thanks, brain, but court is adjourned until morning. Then sink into your sheets. Feel your pillow under your head. Listen for quiet sounds, the hum of your heater, the distant traffic, the hush of your own breath, and remind yourself, everything passes, even this noise, even this night. Hey, still awake, huh? Don't worry. So was I, plenty of times. Let's talk about something big tonight, how life is short, and yet somehow this one night feels like it's lasting 17 years. Everyone loves to tell you, life is short. And sure, they're right. Life is short. Blink, and suddenly you're older. Your knees make weird popping sounds, and you can't remember why you walked into the kitchen. But here's the funny thing. The night doesn't get the memo. It stretches on and on, like a Roman senator delivering a speech nobody asked for. You know the feeling. You look at your phone. 2:18 a.m. You toss. You turn. You try counting sheep, reciting song lyrics, planning your grocery list. You finally check the time again, hoping at least an hour has passed. It's 2:23 a.m., 5 minutes. That's all you managed. In Rome, we didn't have digital clocks, but trust me, the nights felt just as endless. I'd lie there on my straw mattress, staring at the shadows dancing on the ceiling, listening to the faint noises outside. Cats howling, priests chanting, guards stomping around in sandals that clacked like they were trying to invent tap dancing. And I'd think, how is it possible that an entire empire can rise and fall in a lifetime? Yet this one night refuses to end. And the thoughts that come in the middle of the night. Existential gold. Am I living my life right? What's the point of it all? Why does my nose look weird from this angle? I used to wonder whether I was wasting my days, whether I'd done enough, whether my name would live on, or be forgotten like some random shopkeeper in the Subura district selling moldy olives. Spoiler: even emperors get insecure about their legacy. But here's something I learned. The human mind is dramatic. It loves to take a small feeling, boredom, regret, a bit of fear, and spin it into a 3-act tragedy. Your brain becomes a playwright, complete with costumes, music, and thunder effects. During the day, you're thinking, cool, I've got stuff to do. At night, it's, why haven't I written a book yet? Why don't I speak 3 languages fluently? Why haven't I seen the Northern Lights? Let me let you in on a secret. Even I didn't accomplish everything I wanted. Yes, I was emperor. Yes, I wrote those meditations you keep hearing about. But I also wanted to learn to play the lyre decently. Didn't happen. Wanted to invent a better postal system. Never got around to it. I even wanted to make the Senate debates shorter. Hey, good luck with that. So, if you're lying there right now, thinking you're behind in life because you haven't done everything by age 25, 30, or 50, breathe. Life is short, but it's not a race. Everything passes, even this long, stubborn night. And let's talk about FOMO. Yep, fear of missing out. Don't act like you don't know what it is. You're scrolling through your phone at 2:37 a.m., half asleep, and suddenly you see someone posting, just climbed a mountain at sunrise, bought a house, started my own business and retired at 27. And meanwhile, you're lying there, wearing pajamas that smell faintly of last night's dinner, wondering if you'll ever achieve anything more impressive than folding your fitted sheet correctly. Here's the truth. Even emperors had FOMO. I'd hear reports from distant provinces. So-and-so conquered this region. So-and-so built a new aqueduct. So-and-so threw a festival with dancing elephants. And I'd be lying there in bed, thinking, great. I'm just here trying to keep the Senate from killing each other. Where's my dancing elephants? Sometimes I felt like I was living my whole life responding to emergencies instead of actually enjoying it. Barbarians over here, floods over there, senators screaming about grain prices. Meanwhile, my dreams of learning the lyre or finally writing poetry about the stars. On hold. And that's what happens to you too, isn't it? Your days get eaten up by emails, errands, obligations, and mental noise. You end up feeling like everyone else is living an epic adventure while you're stuck in a loop of work, groceries, and occasionally remembering to floss. But here's the thing. Everyone feels like that sometimes. Even the person posting their glamorous mountain selfie on Instagram probably had a meltdown because they forgot their granola bars. And the truth is, Life's small moments are where the good stuff actually happens. The way your coffee smells in the morning. The softness of your sheets when you finally find the cool spot. Laughing so hard you can't breathe because your friend told a story about accidentally texting their boss, "I love you." Those tiny details. That's where real living happens. Not always in the big, dramatic events. Let me tell you about a memory I still cherish. One quiet evening, I sat alone in the palace courtyard. The stars were just coming out. Rome was oddly peaceful. No riots, no messengers bursting in, just silence. I could hear a fountain trickling, feel the marble cool under my palms. And for a moment, I thought, this is it. This is life. Right here. Not conquering new lands, not delivering grand speeches, just that tiny sliver of peace in the night. So if you're lying there tonight, torturing yourself because you think you're behind, remember, you're not behind. You're alive. And that's enough for tonight. Everything passes, even this night. And let's talk about regret, because that's another favorite midnight special, isn't it? Your brain decides to play the coulda, shoulda, woulda playlist on repeat. I should have chosen a different career. I should have said yes to that date. I should have moved to that city. I should have learned to play the guitar instead of just owning one that collects dust in the corner. Trust me, I get it. I've been there too. You think just because I was emperor I didn't have regrets? Let me list a few. I regret not spending more time with my family. I regret letting certain senators stress me out for years. I regret not learning to juggle. Don't laugh. Juggling is a legit stress relief technique. Unless you're juggling swords, then it's just a bad idea. But here's something I learned. Regret is a time machine that only travels backwards. And you, my friend, are living right now. The past is a scroll that's already been written. You can't scratch the ink out. You can't edit your lines. All you can do is choose how to write tomorrow's scroll. So, if your brain wants to drag you into an endless mental courtroom tonight, listing every so-called mistake you ever made, politely interrupt and say, "Thanks, brain. Not tonight. Court is adjourned." And about feeling behind. Let me let you in on a little emperor secret. No one feels caught up. Even the senators who seemed confident and powerful were probably lying awake thinking, "Am I respected enough? Did I say the wrong thing in that debate? Does my toga make me look fat?" Life's not a schedule with a finish line. There's no giant scoreboard hanging over Rome with your name and a flashing light saying, "Failed at life." You're living your story at your pace. Some people peak at 20, others at 60. Some never peak, but still live a beautiful, quiet life. And that's okay. I remember one night, exhausted, I was thinking, what if I die tomorrow? What if none of this matters? And then I remembered, even if life is short, every tiny moment is worth something. A breath of cool air, a laugh with a friend, a warm blanket on a cold night. It sounds simple, but that's the stuff that stays with you when the empire fades and the statues crack. So, tonight, if you're lying there feeling like you've wasted your life because you didn't achieve every dream by 30, let me say this loud and clear. You're not late. You're right on time for your own story. Everything passes, even this night. Let your eyes close, let your shoulders drop. You don't have to solve your entire existence before sunrise. You just have to breathe, because life is short. But even the longest night eventually becomes morning. everything passes, even this night. Still fighting sleep? Seems like I haven't completely worked my magic on you yet, huh? No worries. Let's talk about control. Or, rather, how little of it we actually have. Because here's one of life's biggest cosmic jokes. We humans love feeling in control, and we control almost nothing. Don't believe me? Let me give you some examples. You can't control whether your neighbor decides to vacuum at 1:47 a.m. You can't control the weather. You can't control your hair doing that weird, flippy thing right before an important meeting. And you sure as Tartarus can't control your brain deciding to remind you of that embarrassing thing you did 12 years ago while you're brushing your teeth. I learned this the hard way. You think being emperor meant I controlled everything? Ha! Let me tell you about the time I tried to get the Senate to agree on one single tax policy. 15 hours of debate, 50 senators yelling. One guy fainted dramatically for emphasis. In the end, we passed nothing. And don't get me started on the weather. I'd plan a grand speech in the forum, expecting sunshine. And instead, we'd get a thunderstorm so loud people thought Jupiter was bowling upstairs. Same with people's opinions. You could be the nicest person in the empire, giving out bread, forgiving debts, and patting puppies. And someone would still say, "Ugh, Marcus is so annoying, always going on about virtue." So listen, my friend, you can't control what other people think of you. Even if you're perfect, which nobody is, someone's going to misunderstand you, or dislike you for no reason. And that's okay. You know what you can control? Your own actions, your responses, how kindly you speak to yourself, whether you breathe in and out right now. Everything else? Out of your imperial jurisdiction. So, if tonight your mind is spinning with thoughts like, why did they look at me that way? What if tomorrow goes horribly wrong? Why can't I just make everything perfect? Let me be the first to say, perfection doesn't exist. Even Rome, at the height of its glory, was far from perfect. Streets smelled like fish sauce. Senators argued nonstop, cats screamed on rooftops, and I, Emperor of Rome, still lay awake at 3:12 a.m., questioning my entire existence. So, take a breath, in and out. Slower. Let your shoulders drop. Remind yourself, I can only control my own thoughts and actions. Everything else, I let go. Because, my friend, you deserve sleep. Not because your life is perfect, but precisely because it's not. Everything passes, even this night. And let's talk about how much energy we waste trying to control the uncontrollable. It's wild when you think about it. You know what's exhausting? Spending 3 hours at night crafting imaginary conversations you'll probably never have. Next time they say that, I'll say this. Oh, and then I'll add this savage comeback for good measure. I did that all the time, lying there in the dark, plotting epic verbal smackdowns for senators who annoyed me. Spoiler, I never delivered any of those savage comebacks. Instead, I'd end up smiling politely the next day, offering them figs. And let's talk about controlling other people's feelings. We all try to do it. If I just explain myself better, they'll understand. If I'm extra nice, nobody will ever be upset with me. Let me save you some time, my friend. You can't manage everyone else's emotions. I tried. I'd give grand speeches about virtue and duty. Half the people were inspired. The other half rolled their eyes and whispered that I was boring. No matter how carefully you choose your words, someone will hear them wrong. No matter how kind you are, someone will think you have an agenda. And that's not your fault. It's just people being people. You know what I wish someone had told me earlier? It's not your job to keep the entire world happy. Imagine how much mental space you'd free up if you stopped carrying other people's emotional baggage. Same goes for the future. So many sleepless nights are wasted trying to predict every possible outcome. What if my boss hates my presentation? What if I never find love? What if the empire collapses tomorrow because of a grain shortage in Egypt? Here's a fun fact from an emperor who's lived through plenty of drama. Even when disaster comes, you'll handle it. Did Rome face plagues? Yes. Rebellions? Constantly. Bad press? Absolutely. Senators were the ancient version of Twitter. But somehow, we made it through. Because when real problems arrive, humans get resourceful. You'd be amazed how strong you are when the moment demands it. So instead of staying awake tonight trying to anticipate every disaster, remind yourself, I'll deal with it if it happens, not before. One of the things that kept me sane was this little mantra. Do what you can with what you have, where you are. The rest, leave to the gods. Or, in modern terms, do your best. Then go to bed. So tonight, if your brain is screaming, fix everything, tell it, no thanks. I'll fix what's actually in front of me tomorrow. Tonight, I rest. Everything passes, even this night. Let's talk about one last thing, your relationship with uncertainty. Because here's the truth nobody likes to admit. Life is one giant question mark. When I was emperor, people used to look at me like I had all the answers. Little did they know, half the time I was making it up as I went along. The Senate would ask me, Marcus, what's your plan for the next fiscal year? And inside, I'd be thinking, my plan is survive the week without a riot. And don't even get me started on predictions. Everyone wanted me to predict the future. Will the crops fail? Will the Parthians invade? Will my cousin marry well? I'd smile wisely and say something philosophical like, we'll face what comes. But secretly, I was screaming, I have no idea, Lucius. Please leave me alone. Because that's life, my friend. Nobody knows what's coming next. Not emperors, not senators, not even those online gurus who promise you they've hacked life. You know what gives you peace? Accepting uncertainty. Not loving it. Not pretending it's fun. Just accepting that it exists. Because fighting uncertainty is like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you grip, the faster it slips away. Here's a question for you. Can you know exactly how tomorrow will go? Can you predict what people will say or think? Can you guarantee nothing will ever hurt you again? Of course not. But here's what you can know. You've survived every day up to now. You've faced hard things before. You're stronger than you think. So tonight, if your brain is whirring like a legionnaire's shield drill, ask yourself, is there anything I can do about this right now at 3:49 a.m.? If the answer is no, let it go. Imagine the future as a dark hallway. You don't need to see the whole hallway tonight. You just need enough light for one step forward. That's it. I used to say, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Still true. Even at 3:51 a.m. when the night feels endless. Because so much of what keeps you awake is trying to control things outside your mind. Other people's opinions, the economy, the weather, whether you'll ever figure out how to fold a fitted sheet. But if you can let go of what you can't steer, suddenly your world feels lighter. I know letting go sounds scary. You think, if I stop worrying, bad things will sneak up on me. But worrying doesn't protect you. It just drains your battery for when you actually need it. So tonight, let your mind off the hook. Tell yourself, I've done what I can. The rest is not mine to control. Then sink into your pillow. Feel the quiet around you. Know that nothing needs fixing right this second. Because even an emperor has to surrender sometimes. Everything passes. Even this night. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Still hanging in there? Good. Because now we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, gratitude. Now, I know what you're thinking. Ugh, gratitude. Seriously, Marcus? I'm tired, anxious, and my brain feels like a hamster on a wheel. And you want me to count my blessings? Yes. Yes, I do. And here's why. Gratitude is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about finding tiny anchors that keep you from drifting into the endless sea of mental chaos. Back when I was emperor, people thought I was calm because I was wise. Nope. Half the time, I was a mess. But the thing that saved me was looking for small moments of beauty. For example, the way the sunlight hit the marble columns in the Forum, the smell of fresh olive oil in the markets, the cool breeze off the Tiber on a hot day. Meanwhile, the rest of Rome was exploding with chaos. Senators yelling, people arguing about taxes, cats shrieking on rooftops. But those tiny good things, they kept me going. So let's talk about your life right now. You might think, there's nothing good tonight. It's dark. I can't sleep. Everything sucks. I get it. Truly. But even now, there's something good around you. Maybe it's the softness of your blanket, the quiet hum of your heater, the taste of water when your throat is dry, the simple fact that you're here, breathing, alive. And listen, I know this sounds cheesy, but gratitude is like a lantern in the dark. It doesn't make the night disappear. It just helps you see your way through it. You think I didn't have nights where I wanted to chuck my laurel crown into the Tiber and run off to live as a goat farmer? I did. A lot. But then I'd remember. The sunrise still happens. The birds still sing, even when the Senate is a circus. So tonight, if your mind is stuck in worries, try this. Name 3 small things you're grateful for. Not giant things like world peace. Tiny things. Your favorite pillow. The smell of rain. That one friend who texts you memes at 2 a.m. Gratitude doesn't erase your problems, but it makes the weight a little lighter. Everything passes, even this night. And let me tell you something else about gratitude. It's a rebellious act. Seriously. In a world constantly yelling that you need more money, more success, more followers, more perfect abs, choosing to notice what you already have is pure rebellion. Think about it. Your brain wants to focus on problems because it thinks that's how it keeps you safe. Let's scan for danger. Let's find everything that could go wrong. Let's obsess over that one weird thing your coworker said. But gratitude flips the script. It whispers, hey, maybe not everything is awful. For example, you might think tonight is a total disaster because you can't sleep. But look closer. You're in a bed, not on a cold stone floor. You're safe. You're alive in a world where there's hot showers and coffee and music. In my time, I tried to remind myself of the same thing. Even when everything felt like it was falling apart, I'd look for something, anything to appreciate. Like the time I was stuck listening to a 3-hour Senate debate about the correct color for ceremonial togas. My eyes were glazing over. I wanted to fake my own death. But then I noticed a sunbeam shining through the Senate windows, dust motes swirling like tiny golden stars. And for a moment, I thought, okay, this is beautiful, even in this madness. That moment saved me. It didn't change the senators. It didn't solve the empire's problems, but it gave me one breath of peace. So tonight, my friend, I challenge you to look around, even in the darkness, and find one thing you can be grateful for right now. Maybe it's the way your sheets feel cool against your skin, the faint scent of your laundry detergent, the absurd fact that your body, right now, is doing millions of microscopic tasks to keep you alive. Because gratitude isn't about ignoring what's hard. It's about making room for both, the difficult and the beautiful. Let me be clear. I'm not asking you to pretend everything's perfect. Life is messy. People are complicated. Cats still scream on rooftops at 2 a.m. for reasons no philosopher has ever solved. But if you can notice one good thing, even in your restless night, you've just won a tiny victory over the chaos. Everything passes, even this night. Let's talk about the weird magic of small moments, because here's the secret nobody tells you. The big stuff fades, but the small stuff sticks. You might think the highlight of my life was winning battles, giving grand speeches, or seeing my statue carved in marble. Sure, those were nice. But you know what I remember the most? The smell of pine resin when I walked through the palace gardens, laughing so hard with my friend Rusticus that I nearly fell off my chair. The way the dawn light turned the Tiber River gold. Tiny, simple things. And yet, they kept me sane when the empire felt too heavy to carry. So tonight, I want you to think of your small moments. Not the big victories, not the job promotions, diplomas, or life milestones, but the moments nobody else sees. That first sip of coffee when it's just the right temperature. The warmth of your blanket wrapped around your shoulders like a shield. The random song lyric that makes you grin in the middle of a grocery store aisle. These things matter. They're the threads that hold the tapestry of your life together. And here's the best part. No one can take those moments from you. Not the Senate, not your boss, not the chaos of the world. They're yours. Private treasures tucked away in your memory. Even on nights like this, when sleep won't come, and your mind insists on listing every possible future catastrophe, you can find small refuges. Maybe it's the way the air feels cool on your face. Maybe it's the sound of distant traffic, reminding you that the world is still turning. Maybe it's the realization that right now you're sharing this quiet moment with an emperor who once ruled the world, and who's now keeping you company in the dark. Life's big chapters are written in marble, but the true story of you is written in fleeting, delicate moments. And here's the trick. The more you look for small good things, the more your brain learns to see them. Gratitude rewires your mind, little by little. So next time your brain screams, "Everything's a disaster," whisper back, "Sure, but my blanket is soft." Or, "Okay, but my tea smells amazing." Or even, "Yeah, but at least I'm not sleeping on a Roman straw mattress tonight." Trust me, your back should be very grateful for that last one. Because gratitude isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about giving your heart a little room to breathe. So let's try this together. Right now, take a slow breath in, let it out even slower, and think of one tiny thing you're grateful for tonight. Hold on to it. Let it shine a tiny light into this long night, because the night will pass, and dawn will come. Everything passes, even this night. Hey, still awake, huh? I'm proud of you for hanging in there. Let's talk about something that got me through my worst nights. Your inner citadel. Sounds fancy, right? Like a marble fortress with guards in shiny helmets. But really, your inner citadel is the unshakable place inside you that nothing and no one can touch. I know. You're probably thinking, Marcus, I don't even have my laundry under control. How am I supposed to have an inner citadel? But listen, it's not about having everything figured out. It's about knowing that even when the world outside is chaos, there's a part of you that stays calm. Think about it. Outside your mind, people gossip. Deadlines loom, bills arrive, cats scream on rooftops. Inside your citadel, silence, space, you. When I was emperor, sometimes the noise outside felt overwhelming. Senators screaming over grain prices, legionaries clanging swords, messengers bursting in with bad news. And in those moments, I'd close my eyes and remind myself, this body can be hurt. My reputation can be damaged. My empire might crumble. But inside me, there's a place that's untouchable. That's your inner citadel. It's the reason you've survived every heartbreak, every awkward conversation, every sleepless night like this one. You're stronger than you think. And don't worry, your citadel doesn't have to be perfect. Mine wasn't. Sometimes I'd try to retreat into it, and my brain would still scream, but what if everything goes wrong? And I'd have to say, shh, not right now. It's a practice, like brushing your teeth, or avoiding stepping on Lego bricks. Your citadel is built one small choice at a time, choosing to breathe instead of panic, choosing to let a thought pass without grabbing it, choosing kindness over self-criticism. Even now, you're practicing it. By sitting here, listening to my voice, trying to calm the storm in your head, you're laying bricks in your citadel. Everything outside might feel uncertain, but this place inside you, that's yours. Everything passes, even this night. And let me tell you something else about your inner citadel. It doesn't mean shutting the world out. People sometimes think Stoicism is about becoming a stone statue who feels nothing. Nope. It's about feeling everything without letting it own you. You can still care. You can still love deeply. You can still cry watching sad movies. Or, in my case, tragic Greek plays where everyone inevitably dies. But your citadel means there's a place inside you that says, yes, this is painful, but it doesn't define who I am. Imagine it like this. The world is a storm. Rain lashes sideways. Thunder crashes. But inside your citadel, it's quiet. Not because the storm vanished, but because you're not the storm. I remember one night in particular. Rome was tense. Rumors of rebellion were flying. Senators were panicking. My advisors were screaming at each other. My chest was tight. My mind was spinning. And I thought, I can't control the rebellion. I can't silence the rumors. But I can control this one breath. So I closed my eyes. I felt the air move in and out. And for those few moments, I found peace. That's the Citadel. It's not about ignoring problems. It's about creating space between you and your thoughts. So tonight, when your brain screams, "What if I fail? What if they don't like me? What if everything goes wrong?" Try saying back, "Thank you, thoughts. You're allowed to be here, but you're not in charge." Then retreat into your citadel, even if just for a second. Feel your body on the bed. Feel the weight of the blanket. Notice the small comfort of this moment, even if your mind wants to argue. Because here's the secret. Your citadel is always there. Even on nights like this. You might not feel strong right now, but the fact that you're still here, breathing, listening, trying, that's strength. Everything passes, even this night. And here's another thing about your inner citadel. Nobody else can break into it. Not your boss, not your ex, not that random stranger who gave you a weird look in the grocery store. People might criticize you. Circumstances might shake you. But nobody can control your mind unless you hand them the keys. Let's talk about that for a second, because humans love giving away the keys to their citadel. We say things like, "They made me feel worthless. They ruined my day. They embarrassed me." Listen to me carefully, my friend. No one can make you feel anything without your permission. Now, I know what you're thinking. But Marcus, people can hurt us. People can betray us. People can be cruel. Absolutely. I'm not denying that. People can do awful things. But your inner citadel is the part of you that says, even if they do, I decide how I respond. Think of it like a fortress. The enemy might shout insults from outside the walls. They might throw stones. They might even try to sneak in disguised as a messenger. But you decide whether to open the gate. I learned this the hard way. There were senators who insulted me, generals who betrayed me, citizens who spread lies about me in the taverns. And every time I wanted to scream, "How dare they? Don't they know who I am?" But eventually, I realized being emperor didn't make me immune to people being people. So instead, I built my citadel, a place where I could remind myself, their words don't define me. I define me. You can do the same. Tonight, if your mind is spiraling because someone hurt you, remember, you're still here. You're still breathing. They don't get to own your mind. You can feel your feelings, anger, sadness, fear, without letting them take the throne. Even now, in this long, sleepless night, you can retreat into your citadel. Take one breath. Feel your chest rise and fall. Remind yourself, I am not my circumstances. I am not my thoughts. I am the one who sees them. Everything passes, even this night, even these storms. So let your eyes soften. Let your jaw unclench. Know that no matter what happens tomorrow, your citadel is yours. And remember, I'm here, the night shift emperor, keeping watch until you fall asleep. Everything passes, even this night. Hey, still awake? Good, because now we've got to talk about a topic that's kept humans up at night for centuries. Other people. Let's just admit it. People are exhausting sometimes. I mean, sure, people can be wonderful. They can make you laugh until your stomach hurts. They can help you move apartments. They can bring you soup when you're sick. But they can also chew loudly in total silence, cut you off in traffic and then flip you off, leave passive-aggressive comments on your social media, or, in my day, stand up in the Senate and declare that your tax policy is utterly incompetent. Thanks, Senator Calpurnius. Really appreciate the feedback. Let's be real. People can be annoying. And here's the truly annoying part. We still have to live with them. When I wrote my meditations, one of the first things I reminded myself each morning was this. Today, I shall meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and unsocial. Not exactly a cheerful Hallmark card, but true. But then I'd remind myself something else. They are like this because they do not know good from evil. Translation, people act out because they're struggling too. Here's the secret I learned as emperor and as a fellow insomniac. Everyone's fighting a battle you can't see. That jerk in traffic? Maybe he just lost his job. That rude colleague? Maybe she's terrified she's not good enough. That senator who called me incompetent? Okay, maybe he was just a jerk, but even he probably had problems at home. The point is, we're all human, messy, flawed, terrified of not being loved, and that includes you. Because, spoiler alert, you're annoying sometimes too. I know, shocking, but we all are. We interrupt people. We forget birthdays. We send confusing text messages. We accidentally ghost people because we were too tired to reply. And yet, we still deserve compassion. So do the people around us. Here's what I found helpful when dealing with people. Expect imperfection. If you wake up thinking, today everyone's going to be perfectly polite, reasonable, and insightful, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Instead, try this. Today, I will meet people who are flawed, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to let people walk all over you. Boundaries are important. But it does mean you can keep your peace when someone acts like a raging donkey. Everything passes. Even annoying people. Even this night. Let's talk about expectations. One of the main reasons people drive us crazy is because we keep expecting them to act like, well, us. You ever notice that? You think, I'd never say something like that. I'd never leave dirty dishes in the sink for 3 days. I'd never ghost someone after a great first date. And yet, people do. All the time. Because they're not you. They're them. I had to learn this as emperor. I'd issue a command thinking, everyone will understand this is for the greater good. And the next day, half the senators were outraged. Merchants were protesting in the streets. Random citizens were composing rude poetry about my haircut. At first, I took it personally. Why don't they see my good intentions? But eventually, I realized, people see the world through their own fears, desires, and wounds, not through mine. It's not about you. Most of the time, it's about them. So, here's one of the best pieces of advice I can give you. Lower your expectations of others and raise your compassion. I'm not saying accept bad behavior. Boundaries matter. But expecting everyone to behave exactly as you would. That's a fast track to disappointment and insomnia. Here's another thing. Forgive quickly. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Harboring grudges is like drinking a goblet of poison and waiting for the other person to die. It doesn't work. I used to hold on to resentment for months. How dare Senator so-and-so talk to me like that? Then I realized, while I'm lying awake fuming, he's probably sleeping soundly, drooling on his pillow. So I started letting it go. Not for them, for me. Because here's the thing. Holding anger hurts you more than it hurts them. Let's try something together. Right now, think of someone who's been annoying you lately. The neighbor who slams doors. The coworker who sends passive-aggressive emails. That friend who keeps bailing on plans. Picture them in your mind, and then say quietly, "May you find peace." May I find peace. That's it. No long speeches. No pretending you suddenly love them. Just a simple wish for both of you to let go. It's not magic, but it softens the edge. Because, annoying as people can be, we're all in this mess together. Everything passes. Even people who chew with their mouths open. Even this night. And here's one last thing about people. Sometimes the person who annoys you the most is you. Let's talk about that for a second, because we humans are experts at beating ourselves up. You ever notice how you talk to yourself? Ugh, I'm so stupid. Why did I say that? I can't believe I messed up again. If you spoke to your friends the way you speak to yourself, you'd have no friends left. I've been there too. You think I never had moments where I thought, I'm a terrible emperor. I'm failing Rome. Everyone secretly hates me. Even as emperor, lying on my straw mattress at 2:57 a.m., I'd replay every mistake I'd ever made, every awkward speech, every time my sandals squeaked in the marble halls. But here's what I learned. You can't love other people if you're constantly at war with yourself. So, if we're talking about compassion for others, we have to start here. Be kinder to yourself. It doesn't mean letting yourself off the hook for everything. It means recognizing that you're human. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to say awkward things sometimes. You're allowed to grow at your own pace. The person you were 5 years ago didn't know everything you know today. So why judge them by today's wisdom? If I judged myself today for all the things I did at 20, the bad haircuts, the questionable decisions about toga colors, that one time I tried to write poetry and accidentally started a rumor that I'd gone mad. I'd never sleep either. So here's a practice for tonight. Talk to yourself like you'd talk to a friend. Imagine your friend came to you at 3 a.m. and said, I feel like a failure. I'm so embarrassed about what I said today. I'm afraid everyone hates me. Would you say, yeah, you're the worst. You should be ashamed? Of course not. You'd say, hey, you're human. You're allowed to mess up. You're still worthy of love. So why not talk to yourself that way? Let's try it right now. Take a slow breath and say quietly, I'm doing my best. I deserve kindness, even from myself. Feels weird, right? But that's how you start building peace inside. Because loving people, even the annoying ones, starts with loving yourself. So tonight, forgive others. Forgive yourself. Remember that everyone's a mess in some way. Even emperors. Especially emperors. Everything passes. Even this night. Even the noise in your mind. Even the mistakes you're afraid define you. And I'm here, keeping watch until you drift off. Because that's what the night shift emperor does. Everything passes. Even this night. Hey, you, still with me? Good, because now we've reached the part of the night that's the hardest, and also the most important, letting go. I know. Let go, Marcus. Seriously, my brain is clinging to everything like a Roman guard hanging onto his shield in battle. Trust me, I get it. We humans have this funny idea that if we just worry a bit longer, we'll finally solve everything. If I replay that conversation a few more times, I'll figure out the perfect comeback. If I analyze tomorrow from every angle, I'll make sure nothing goes wrong. If I keep my mind busy, I'll stay safe. But here's the problem. Worrying is not preparation. It's exhaustion. Think of your brain like a hand holding a rock. At first, it's easy. No big deal. But the longer you hold it, the heavier it feels. Eventually, your hand starts to shake. Your arm aches, and the rock hasn't changed at all. Letting go doesn't mean pretending the rock isn't there. It means putting it down for a while so you can rest. I learned this the hard way. There were nights when I'd lie awake, running through every crisis in the empire. The plague sweeping through cities, senators plotting who knows what, barbarian tribes testing the borders. I thought if I stayed awake, I could keep Rome safe by sheer force of will. But the only thing I accomplished was becoming a very tired emperor. So eventually, I'd whisper to myself, "Everything passes, even this night," and I'd let myself drift. Here's the thing. The night is not the time to fix your whole life. The night is for resting, for softening your edges, for letting your mind float like a boat on calm waters. And yes, I know your brain is stubborn. Right now, it's probably insisting, "No, Marcus. We must stay awake in case we remember that one thing we forgot to do in 2016. But remind yourself, whatever it is, it can wait until morning. Because even Rome didn't fall in a single night, and neither will your life because of one unfinished task or one awkward conversation. Tonight, give yourself permission to rest. Not because everything's perfect, but because you deserve it anyway. Everything passes, even this night. Let's talk about the art of drifting off, because contrary to popular belief, falling asleep isn't something you can force. You can't yell at your brain, "Sleep, you idiot," and expect it to obey. Believe me, I tried. Lying there at 3:12 a.m. whispering, "Come on, Marcus, Emperor of Rome. Surely you can conquer sleep." But sleep, like a stubborn senator, refuses to be commanded. Instead, you have to invite sleep. Gently. Think of sleep like a skittish cat. If you chase it, it runs away. But if you sit quietly and wait, it might curl up beside you. So let's try inviting sleep. Right now. First, check your body. Are your shoulders up around your ears? Drop them. Is your jaw clenched? Let it soften. Are your fists tight? Uncurl your fingers. Now, take a slow breath in, and let it out even slower. Feel the way your body sinks a tiny bit deeper into your bed. Because here's a secret. Sleep loves a relaxed body. If your mind keeps spinning, try giving it a tiny, simple task. Count your breaths. Or imagine waves gently rolling in and out on a shore. Or picture yourself walking through an ancient Roman garden. Marble fountains glistening under moonlight, the scent of pine and lavender in the air. You hear the water trickling. You feel cool stone under your feet. You sense the hush of leaves rustling in the breeze. Let your mind wander there. And if a thought pops in, like, "Did I leave the oven on?" just nod at it and say, "Thanks, brain. Not right now." Then return to your quiet place. Over and over if you have to. Because sleep isn't a destination you fight your way toward. It's a place you drift into. I used to tell myself, the mind that cannot rest is like a river that has lost its banks. Bring your mind gently back between the banks. Let it flow slower, softer. Everything passes, even this night. And here's one last thing about letting go. You don't have to finish your thinking to fall asleep. So many sleepless nights happen because we tell ourselves, "I can't sleep until I solve this problem." But listen carefully, my friend. Your problems will still be there in the morning, and you'll handle them better if you're rested. Sleep is not giving up. It's recharging your empire. I used to think I could outthink my way to peace, plot every rebellion, predict every senator's betrayal, anticipate every economic crisis. Spoiler, it didn't work. All it did was leave me exhausted, cranky, and occasionally mumbling philosophical quotes at random citizens. So, eventually, I learned to whisper to myself, "This can wait. I'll be wiser tomorrow." And sometimes that was enough to let me drift off. Tonight, let that be enough for you too. Here's one last exercise we can try together. Close your eyes, if they're not closed already. Take a slow, steady breath. Feel your body sinking into your mattress. Picture yourself lying under a dark sky, stars scattered like tiny lanterns. Imagine the cool breeze brushing across your face. Hear the distant hush of the Tiber flowing gently past marble bridges. Smell the faint trace of pine and old stone warmed by the sun. Now say quietly to yourself, "Everything passes, even this night." Let the words echo softly in your mind like a quiet chant. And if thoughts try to drag you back into worry, smile and tell them, "Thank you, but not right now. Right now, I rest." Because you deserve this rest. Not because all your tasks are finished. Not because you've solved every problem, but simply because you are human. Even emperors need sleep. So let the night be what it is. Let the darkness wrap around you like a soft cloak. Know that the sun will rise just as it always has. And tomorrow, you'll face it, stronger, calmer, maybe even a little wiser. Because here's the truth, my friend. The longest night always leads to dawn. Everything passes, even this night. Hey, you're still here. Look at you, still breathing, still fighting the good fight against insomnia. I'm proud of you, my sleepless friend. We've traveled a long road together tonight, haven't we? We talked about noisy legionaries and squeaky sandals, about senators who can't stop talking and cats screaming like opera divas, about how your mind loves to throw midnight parties for every anxious thought you've ever had. And through it all, you stayed. You kept listening. You kept breathing. So let me tell you a little secret. That's victory. Not slaying dragons, not conquering empires, just staying, just breathing, just being willing to keep going, even when your eyes are burning and your brain won't shut up. Tonight, you've built a tiny fortress, brick by brick, word by word. Every time you chose to listen instead of panic. Every time you breathed in and let it out slower. Every time you whispered to yourself, "This too shall pass." That's your inner citadel shining through. People think being strong means never feeling afraid, never feeling overwhelmed, never lying awake at 3:27 a.m. thinking, "Is my life a mess?" But strength, my friend, is being gentle with yourself even when the world is loud. So let's be gentle tonight. Close your eyes for a second, unless you're already half asleep, in which case don't move at all. Stay exactly as you are. Feel the softness of your blanket. Notice the air moving in and out of your nose. Feel the slow weight of your body sinking into the bed. And remind yourself, I don't have to solve everything tonight. I only have to rest. Because I promise you, the world won't end because you decided to sleep. The future won't fall apart in the next few hours. You're allowed to let go. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is surrender to sleep. Even Rome didn't run all night long. Eventually, the torches were extinguished. The guards rotated shifts. Even the most talkative senators finally fell silent. Sleep is your rotation of the guard. Let it take over for a few hours. So, if your mind starts insisting, "But wait, we have to worry about tomorrow," tell it, "Shh. Marcus said I'm off duty." Because that's exactly what I'm telling you. You're off duty tonight. No more internal Senate debates. No more imaginary arguments. No more reruns of embarrassing memories from 2013. Tonight, we're leaving all that behind. Everything passes, even this night. Let's talk for a moment about something important: kindness. Not just kindness to other people, kindness to yourself. I know, it sounds simple, but it's the hardest thing in the world sometimes, isn't it? You're lying there in the dark, your mind replaying every mistake, every awkward thing you ever said, every moment you wish you could go back and redo. Why did I say that? Why didn't I speak up? Why am I like this? Listen to me, my friend. You're human. That's why. You were never supposed to be flawless. Not even emperors are flawless. Do you know how many times I tripped over my toga in public? How many times I misspoke in the Senate? How many times I accidentally started rumors because I was trying to be poetic? So many times. And yet, I kept going. Because life isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up day after day, even with trembling hands. So tonight, as you lie there fighting the ghosts of your own thoughts, do me one favor. Be gentle with yourself. If your mind tries to scold you for not sleeping, whisper back, "Hey, I'm doing my best." If it tries to tell you you're failing at life, answer, "I'm human." And that's enough tonight, because I promise you, you're enough, right now, as you are. You don't have to earn rest. You don't have to check off a list of achievements before you're allowed to sleep. You don't have to prove your worth to the stars. Tonight, your only job is to breathe. So, let's do that together. In, slow, and out, slower still. Notice the way your chest rises and falls. Feel the air cool against your skin. Let your shoulders drop, even just a little. You're safe, you're here, and I'm still right beside you. Because that's the deal. The night shift emperor doesn't clock out until you're sound asleep. Everything passes. Even this night. And if your mind tries to argue, because, oh, it loves to argue, tell it. Marcus said I'm off duty. Because you are. So tonight, give yourself permission to let go. Of the worries, of the shame, of the noise. You don't have to carry it all into tomorrow. Everything passes. Even this night. Let's talk about the stars. When I couldn't sleep, I used to sneak out to the palace courtyard. I'd stand there, looking up at the night sky, my breath misting in the cool Roman air. And I'd think, all those stars, shining quietly, unbothered by my worries, unimpressed by my titles, just shining. There's something comforting about remembering how small we are. Not insignificant, just small. Part of something vast. The stars don't care if you stumbled over your words today. They don't care if your hair did a weird flip in your Zoom meeting. They don't care if your inbox has 347 unread emails. They simply exist. And that, my friend, is a kind of freedom. Because if the stars can keep shining through wars, plagues, heartbreak, and the rise and fall of empires, then so can you. So tonight, imagine the sky above you. Even if you're lying in a dark room, blinds closed tight, City lights drowning out the stars, they're still there. Picture them twinkling, light years away, each one a tiny lantern burning in the infinite dark. And remember, they've seen everything, all the laughter, all the sorrow, all the restless nights like this one. And through it all, the stars keep shining. Let them keep watch for you tonight. Let them carry your worries for a few hours. You don't have to hold everything alone. Everything passes, even this night. And finally, one last thing before I let you drift off. If, on another night, your brain decides to throw another 3:17 a.m. dance party, if you find yourself tangled in your sheets, replaying conversations from 2012, if you're lying there, wide-eyed, wondering why you can't be one of those mythical people who fall asleep the second their head hits the pillow, remember this: you're always welcome here. Come back any time for more stories, half wisdom, half nonsense, told by philosophers from every age. Some stories will be profound. Some will be ridiculous. All of them will be for you, because everything passes, even this night. Good night, my friend. Sleep well.